it is often enlightening for the aspirants, for the students to try and understand and see with their own eyes what is it that made toppers toppers? What is it that resulted in an aspirant turning himself, transforming himself into a topper, into a successful person who has been able to crack the examination that you are aspiring to crack today. We all know seats are limited, competition is unlimited, therefore we have to work hard. With our present understanding, knowledge, preparation, we might not be able to clear this examination. So why not see what the toppers have done? Why not see what is it that successful students are doing so that we can replicate the same? I had a chance to discuss in detail with All India Rank 1 Tanay, who is RBI's topper this year, Rank 1. And when he came in for the interview, I asked him, he was a part of my course. So I asked him, number one, did you actually use the course? Was it useful? And number two, if you did, what kind of notes did you make? What do you think was the major reason behind your success? And he shared with me the entire plethora of short notes that he had created out of my own notes and various other sources. Of course, on the internet, there are no limits. He shared with me all those notes, and I was overwhelmed when I saw those notes because there was too much to see and to read. Therefore, I thought instead of just dumping all these notes to you guys, why not have me explain these notes one by one to you and help you understand what is it that resulted in this student becoming a topper, in this student achieving rank 1 in his second attempt itself in the RBI examination. So here I am today. I am going to be discussing one of Tanay's short notes that he created for his own understanding, for his own preparation, but he was kind enough to share them with the world, with all the aspirants through me, and I am going to try and share as many of them as possible with all you students. So let us start with one note at a time. Today I'm going to start with poverty, the note named as poverty and its estimation. आप लोग यहाँ देख सकते हो. The name of the note is poverty and its estimation. Now this chapter is basically the chapter on poverty, which comes under economic and social issues. That is all that the student has, Tanay has created notes upon. Now, what did he do when he was an aspirant? You are an aspirant right now. Let's assume that today you're sitting with the chapter poverty and you have to read it, go through the video probably, and then try and figure out whether you want to make notes for it or not. I always tell note making is good, but only if it is done in a certain way, only if it is useful for you in the final examination. Effort and objective, these two are linked. If the short notes help make that happen, then these short notes are actually useful. So what exactly did he do? First of all, a very good structure. That is what I witnessed. अगर हम यहीं पे देखें, मैं स्ट्रक्चर की बात करूं, it starts with meaning, then the classification or divisions of poverty, then the reasons behind poverty. अभी हम खाली ऊपर ऊपर से स्ट्रक्चर देख रहे हैं. The terms related to poverty or in poverty, the methods of estimation of poverty in the past 70, 80 odd years, or even pre-independence, what were the methods of estimation of poverty? Not only Indian methods, but as well as global estimation of poverty. Who does it? How is it done? What is the method? How good or bad is that method? Government efforts for poverty reduction, for targeting poverty, for reducing this problem in our country. Government's efforts in brief, not in detail. Some things that I found missing in the structure, and that tells us very clearly that nobody is perfect, nobody's preparation is perfect. But if you are able to keep in mind these basic things also, even then you can become a topper. You can have rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. That is what I want from my students. What were the things that were missing that I felt? Number one, schemes were missing. Probably he wrote all the schemes somewhere else and he connected those with poverty somewhere else. He had his own way of studying, his own way of structuring things. Latest facts on poverty were found missing. And how can India move towards MDP, which is multidimensional poverty estimation? How can India move from an absolute poverty estimation towards a multidimensional poverty estimation? That was found missing. That is where the question can come from. Also, Not that questions will not come from the above, but this is also an important area. Other than that, everything was perfect. Now, what is it that made these notes so good and so useful? That is where the trick lies. That is where the skill lies. That is what you need to develop. Number one, in a matter of just 4 or 5 pages, he's covered the entire chapter poverty. So when he actually wants to revise poverty immediately before the examination, he can do so in a matter of just probably 10-20 minutes. Not even 20 minutes. It'll take maximum of 15 minutes. He can revise the entire chapter poverty. Number one. Number two, if a question props up in the examination on poverty, whether a question, whether an essay, objective question, descriptive question, answer writing, anything, it is going to be very easy for you as a student and for anyone who has created such short, useful notes by himself or herself to recall all that you have read under poverty. It becomes very easy because the number of pages that you have compressed the entire chapter into is very small. When you do that, automatically the chances of recall, the proportion of that chapter that you can recall, all of that increase. That increases your score, that increases your confidence as well. Okay, let's start going through all the sections one by one, and through that we'll realize the uniqueness, the simplicity, at the same time the comprehensiveness of these short notes. Number one, everything is in flowcharts. That automatically helps you remember more things. But a caveat here is that these flowcharts need to be of your own making. If you expect someone else to make these flowcharts and then you want to remember them, it is going to be very tough for you because they are not your own brains making. It is like a pot in a pottery क्लब. आपका पॉट नहीं है तो आपको समझ नहीं आएगा कि वो अच्छा है या खराब है. You cannot appreciate it unless you are an expert, because we are not experts, we are all aspirants, so we can't appreciate or depreciate how good or bad it is just by looking at it or reading it. We can only get into the depth of this once we have made these notes by ourselves. जब खुद एफर्ट करोगे तभी पॉट बन के आएगा, तब समझ आएगा कैसे अच्छा पॉट बनता है, कैसे खराब पॉट बनता है. That is where I want you to be and that is where you also need to be. तो मीनिंग की बात करें तो देखो दो पार्ट में बड़े अच्छे से डिवाइड किया कि ये तो एक होलिस्टिक अप्रोच हो गई डॉक्टर अमर्त्य सेन की कैपेबिलिटीज अप्रोच, और ये एक बेसिक डेफिनेशन हो गई लैकिंग बेसिक नेसेसिटीज फॉर अ डिग्निफाइड लाइफ. अब अमर्त्य सेन कैपेबिलिटी अप्रोच को फर्दर डिवाइड कर दिया. व्हाट डज इट मीन बाय हिज कैपेबिलिटीज अप्रोच? नंबर वन, inability to live a fulfilling life and realize one's potential. Now all of these can be made on iPad, all of these can be made on paper and then scanned using a phone and put online. All of these can also be made online completely in the form of a digital flowchart. You don't have to do a lot of work. It is very much possible, all of this now. You can also use AI tools to make all of this for you. Freedom to make choices to fulfill one's potential. So two divisions. Number one, capabilities approach says if you are unable to live a fulfilling life and realize one's potential, then you are poor. And even if you do not have the freedom, एक तो हो गया I'm not able to utilize my potential. Second person is I probably am able to utilize my potential. I can be, but I don't have the freedom. I don't have the freedom to make those choices so that I can fulfill my potential. For example, a lot of girls, they're not able to do what they want to do because their parents say you're going to be married after 25 or 21. So we don't want you to study such and such. We don't want you to go out of the city and study because ultimately you're going to get married. What is that? You do not have the freedom to fulfill your own potential. When you do not have that, you are also poor according to Dr. Amartya Sen. That is what his capabilities approach talked about. So he was able to compress the entire thought within this small flow chart. That is what makes you more clear in your thought process. That is what defines you as a more refined personality, and ultimately that is what results in success also. Second, he came to the classifications or the divisions of poverty. There is absolute poverty जो कि इंडिया में है, जैसे यहाँ पे clearly लिखा है, and then there is chronic and or transient poverty. There is absolute poverty and relative poverty, the division, and there is chronic and transient. There are various other classifications also. यहाँ पे वो mention नहीं है. Probably he wanted to stick with these and he took that chance. What are the reasons behind poverty? Major causes क्या हैं? ये बहुत beautifully create किया गया है. there is population growth rate. If this population growth rate is more than GDP growth rate, it results in poverty. Now this itself takes a lot of time for people to realize as students, even as teachers, क्योंकि ये directly बहुत books में लिखा हुआ नहीं मिलेगा. So he had a deeper understanding, or at least the ability to go deeper and try and generate that understanding. That is what, you know, differentiates you from the lot, from a lot of other candidates. If unemployment and underemployment is large, it results in poverty. If there are disparities in development, which means more inequality, regional disparity, sectoral disparity, जैसे इंडिया में है, manufacturing is not able to grow, lot of population still dependent upon agriculture for their livelihood, so that is disparity in development. If there is gender disparity, let's say a lot of males are employed but majority of the females not employed, ultimately results in poverty as well. That is also a contributor. You will not be able to move up the ladder of development as a family. When you don't do that, ultimately your family will start stagnating, and over generations it will become poor. That is another argument. Okay, there can be caste based disparity. You are capable enough, but because of your caste, you're not allowed to grow, you're not allowed to study, you're not allowed to educate yourself, you're not allowed to do what you want to do. आप एक कॉबलर के बेटे हो, कॉबलर ही बनोगे. Disparity in caste. Okay, that is third reason. Then there is a vicious cycle. One of the major causes or reasons behind poverty. आपकी इनकम लो है तो आपकी सेविंग्स लो होगी, सेविंग्स लो होगी तो इन्वेस्टमेंट लो होगी, इन्वेस्टमेंट लो होगी तो आप अपना डेवलपमेंट नहीं कर पाओगे एज अ ह्यूमन, एजुकेशन नहीं लोगे, कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट नहीं कर पाओगे, बहुत सारी चीजें नहीं कर पाओगे, आपकी प्रोडक्टिविटी लो रहेगी, और प्रोडक्टिविटी लो रहेगी फिर से इनकम लो रहेगी, तो उसी साइकिल में फंसते रहोगे. सो ही टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस विशियस साइकिल. वंडरफुल and clear causation of poverty here done by Tanay. Then he talked about terms which can be very useful in phase 1 especially of the examination. Terms वगैरह से questions objective पूछे जाते हैं. Talked about poverty line, head count ratio, poverty incidence ratio, poverty gap, poverty intensity, squared poverty gap index. तो major ये terms के बारे में को बस mention कर दिया, उनको discuss नहीं किया, probably because he already remembered it. Now it depends on you as a person, as a student. For example, I'm a student who knows कि यार मैं 2 महीने नहीं पढ़ूंगा, I will forget the formula or the method it is calculated, or even the definition of, let's say, poverty gap or poverty intensity. So let me just do this and write in brief the definition or the keywords which can help me recall what is poverty gap, what is poverty intensity, what is the definition, what does it mean. Briefly मैं लिख देता हूँ. That depends upon you as a person, you as a student. Identify how do you like to study, what is your recall time period, how long can you remember things. If it is very short, try and make your notes in such a way that you can use those notes to recall stuff. Okay. Then he talked about estimation of poverty, and this was very detailed कि एस्टिमेट कैसे कैसे किया जाता है हिस्ट्री के साथ. एस्टिमेशन डिटेल नहीं था, हिस्ट्री डिटेल में है. तो एस्टिमेशन में ही जस्ट टॉक्ड अबाउट डिफरेंट मेथड्स दैट आर यूज्ड फॉर मेजरिंग पॉवर्टी. देयर इज मिनिमम कंजम्पशन मेथड और देयर इज डेप्रिवेशन मेथड व्हिच इज मल्टीपल डायमेंशन ऑफ पॉवर्टी, एंड देन देयर इज मिनिमम कंजम्पशन मेथड व्हिच इज फॉलोड इन इंडिया, जहां पे हम पॉवर्टी लाइन बताते हैं. ओके. Uniform reference or recall period, also called as URP. There is mixed reference or recall period, MRP, and there is modified mixed reference recall period. Okay, MMR. तो ये सब बस explain नहीं किए because he probably knows that he'll be able to remember them once he has understood them. तो खाली नाम mention कर दिए. When he thinks of that name, he knows what comes in that concept, in that idea, and he can explain it in the examination. You can also practice it and see whether it is coming to you or not. Active recall में नहीं आ रहा है, then you start making your short notes a little longer, और थोड़ा डिटेल में बना सकते हो जिससे कि short notes actually useful भी हों. History of poverty estimation, इस पे he spent a lot of time and a lot of pages also. Pre-independence he talked about दादाभाई नौरोजी, उन्होंने क्या क्या बताया, poverty and un-British rule in India. There was a paper that he wrote which was called this, and it was the earliest estimation of poverty which was done in this period. क्या मेथड यूज किया वो भी लिखा है यहाँ बहुत ब्रीफली. देन नेशनल प्लानिंग कमिटी 1938 who उसमें नेहरू वॉज द चेयरमैन, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू, और उसमें मिनिमम स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग की बात की गई। पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस बहुत सारी अलग अलग वर्किंग ग्रुप्स कमिटीज आए जिन्होंने अलग अलग मेथड्स दिए। वर्किंग एक्सपर्ट वर्किंग ग्रुप 1962 उन्होंने कुछ बताया, फिर दांडेकर वर्किंग ग्रुप 1971 उन्होंने कुछ बताया, अलग कमिटी उन्होंने 1979 में कुछ बताया, लकड़ावाला वेरी पॉपुलर एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप 1993 उन्होंने कुछ मेथड दिया, तेंदुलकर एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप काफी यूज भी यही होता था, कंट्रोवर्सी में भी था, इन्होंने कुछ बताया, रंगराजन बहुत कंट्रोवर्सी में था, 2012 में आए, रंगराजन कमेटी ने कुछ मेथड बताया। तो मेजर मेथड जो यूज होते रहे हैं उनकी सारी फैक्चुअल डिटेल्स भी, अब नॉर्मली स्टूडेंट्स क्या करते हैं, फैक्ट्स को इग्नोर करते रहते हैं, यहाँ पे दिस इज वेयर आई सॉ दिस इन ऑल द नोट्स ऑफ तनय दैट he was able to create the right mix and understand the importance of facts and concepts both. जब उन्होंने डॉक्टर अमर्त्य सेन की बात करी तो फैक्ट्स नहीं लिखे, खाली कॉन्सेप्ट लिखा, बट जब पावर्टी एस्टिमेशन की बात कर रहे हैं तो फैक्ट्स लिख रहे हैं, बिकॉज इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, वो फैक्ट्स आपको याद रखना इंपॉर्टेंट है, वो नहीं याद होगा तो एग्जाम में स्कोर नहीं कर पाओगे या फिर अपनी आर्ग्यूमेंट को कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाओगे। आप फिर बोलोगे क्या तेंदुलकर एक्सपर्ट कमिटी ग्रुप ने क्या बताया, या फिर हाउ विल यू डिफरेंशिएट इट फ्रॉम रंगराजन एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप और कमिटी which came in 2012 कि how are they different, how is it रंगराजन ग्रुप एन इम्प्रूवमेंट ओवर तेंदुलकर ग्रुप, तेंदुलकर कमिटी, उन्होंने क्या डिफरेंशिएशन किया, कैसे वो ज्यादा एडवांस लेवल ऑफ पॉवर्टी एस्टिमेशन था। देन ही टॉक्ड अबाउट सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कास्ट सेंसस। नाउ दिस इज समथिंग यूनिक बिकॉज हम लोग भूल जाते हैं सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कास्ट सेंसस को, नॉर्मली इग्नोर करते हैं, उससे दूर रहते हैं, उसको अलग से पढ़ लिया बट वी डोंट मिक्स इट अप विद डिफरेंट चैप्टर्स, बट आई थिंक दिस इज ब्यूटीफुल कि सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कास्ट सेंसस को पॉवर्टी का पार्ट बनाया जिससे कि आपको याद रहे। ओके, प्रेजेंट सिस्टम ऑफ पॉवर्टी एस्टिमेशन क्या है वो भी यहाँ पे मेंशन किया गया। देन ग्लोबल एस्टिमेशन, दिस वाज वंडरफुल, नॉर्मली वी डोंट डू दिस काइंड ऑफ इंटरलिंकिंग, और 3-4 पेज में ही ये इंटरलिंकिंग भी कर दी गई कि वर्ल्ड बैंक का एब्सोल्यूट पॉवर्टी लाइन क्या बताता है, ग्लोबल एमडीपी मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी इंडेक्स क्या बताता है। तो मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी पे बहुत ज्यादा फोकस किया है अलग अलग तरीके से। गवर्नमेंट एफर्ट्स को ब्रॉड सेग्रीगेशन किया कि गवर्नमेंट पहले ट्रिकल डाउन थ्योरी पे बिलीव करती थी, देन दे फेल्ट दैट इट इज नॉट वर्किंग, देन दे मूव टुवर्ड्स प्रोग्राम्स लाइक एमजी नरेगा जो अभी भी चलता है, सो दे फोकस्ड ऑन पॉवर्टी एलिविएशन प्रोग्राम्स व्हिच इज लाइक अ डायरेक्ट attack on poverty, and simultaneously they are also providing minimum basic amenities. So 3 basic methods, growth oriented first 5-year plan से था, अभी भी चलता है, but trickle down effect, it works through taxation but it is not the only way that the government works. Then poverty alleviation programs which started after third 5-year plan and are still ongoing, and basic minimum amenities पे focus came from 5th 5-year plan. That is how he structured the entire movement of government in poverty alleviation, how the government targeted poverty. Okay, that was amazing. And these certain things that I have discussed here or mentioned here are found missing in the document. So no document is 100% perfect, but even if it is 70-80% catering to the need of the examination, you will see that you will get selected. And this does not require a lot of study, this just requires a lot of organization, this just requires a lot of organizing in your mind, organizing on paper, keeping yourself organized in your studies, making sure that whatever you're studying, you're actually going to be able to recall that, use that in the examination, apply that in the examination. आप 1000 पेज पढ़ के जाओ और उसमें से एक वर्ड भी यूज ना कर पाओ, वर्थलेस है। उसके अगेंस्ट आप 100 पेज पढ़ के जाओ और उन you can use all those 100 pages through your short notes which are of 5 pages, that is more than enough for you to clear this examination, or actually. Okay, so this is all about this session. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of notes, I just wanted to give you an idea. I will come out with more such sessions with more such notes given by Tanay, and I will try and share them with you as well over a period of time. I will have my team create a structure so that they can share all the notes with you guys, so that you can also use them, you can also learn from them. Okay, if you have any doubts, want to ask anything, you can put it down in the comment section below. Keep studying hard guys, the exam will be out very soon, and with that the race and pagalpan jo hoga wo और zyada बढ़ जाएगा. If you want to stay calm in that scenario, now is the time to study, now is the time to put in the hard work. I'll see you very soon again. All the best, keep studying hard, bye bye, Jai Hind.